So I just want to do a quick breakdown on this trade. Essentially, this was an absorption reversal that turned into a bump and grind setup. Most of my trades are either absorption reversals or absorption continuations, but then there's a lot of nuance around those. So I kind of have those as my main trade setups, but then I have different setups that will dictate how I manage that trade. The entry is usually the same, but depending on the context of the trade, how I manage it will be different. So this was an absorption reversal into a bump and grind setup. Essentially, what an absorption reversal is for me. This is my write-up on an absorption reversal. So this trade can either be buy side or sell side. We are going to use an example for long trades, but criteria can be reversed for the short trade. Entry. If sellers have control and are moving the market down, then in order for us to have a setup for this trade, we need to see selling being absorbed at a specific price level and holding the market from moving down further. Bids will need to keep reloading as sellers are hitting into them. Large volume being absorbed relative to the current velocity of the market. Higher than normal volume than is normal at specific price levels. Sellers start to get exhausted and selling velocity to start slowing down. Buyers start getting more aggressive and trying to lift offers. Offers start to thin out, and instead of reloading them, they start pulling the offers away. Bids start thickening out below price, ideally aggressive reloading at price as well. Buyers now successfully start lifting the offer and buying higher prices. So that's what I want to see for an entry. I don't have a write-up for the bump and grind setup, so that's why I'm making this video. I'm going to use this video to rewatch it and kind of make my write-up for the bump and grind setup. So this is what we're looking at right now. We had a big push down, big sell-off, so there's a lot of momentum. Now, what I'm looking for is absorption on the bid. So you can see here, we were typically defending the 47s all day. So I was looking for them to defend this. You can see here we had some larger contracts trade on the bid side. So we had 182 and 100. So you can see somebody stepped in here, but they got ran through. And then they stepped in again, 104, 169, 178, and they're aggressively reloading. So this is what I'm looking for. I got a little aggressive here, and I did not wait for confirmation of this, so I'm going to let this play. So right here, I just placed a buy. I can see them reloading right here at the 44.50 and reloading at 4400. So you can see 197 being absorbed and 224 being absorbed. Now I'm seeing thinned out offers. They're still kind of reloading the offer here though. So I actually should have waited for these sellers to back off a little bit. Because you can see they're actually absorbing the buying too. You had 226 absorbed on the offer. So I'm a little premature on this entry, and I should have waited for confirmation. So I'm just going to fast forward that or rewind that because that happened really quickly. But essentially, okay, so this is my auto arm strategy. I typically keep a pretty tight stop loss when I'm trying to get into trades, mostly just because I'm not always right about my entry location, and if I have a tight stop, it can just be a quick $50 that I lose, and I know that I was wrong, or I can try again. I've had some really bad experiences with just getting in off of with a really big stop because the momentum can just keep going sometimes, and then you're screwed. You're taking a huge stop out for no reason. So keep the tight stop on the initial entry, but I should have waited for confirmation. Like I just kind of jumped in there, and then you can see all the bids got pulled and price dropped. So I took a stop out there. But now you can see I'm ready to get back in because I can see that this is still getting absorbed, and I'm feeling pretty confident in this trade idea, but I'm actually not waiting for confirmation here. So right now I should be waiting for my entry signal, but instead I just jump back in. But then I realize that I'm getting a little bit aggressive and I'm not waiting for confirmation, so I canceled my limit. Okay? So now I'm ready to get back in. Okay? Again, I did not wait for these offers to get pulled. And they're still absorbing and reloading. But they only loaded 2 contracts here, and they just loaded 148 onto the bid after absorbing 107 and 134. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident, still not getting confirmation of my absorption reversal. I need to see these offers start getting pulled, and I need to see buyers start buying into these higher prices. That's where I should be entering. So you can see price kind of just chops around at my entry for a little bit. I've still got my tight stop, but at this point I decided to move my stop and give it a little bit more room. Now, the reason that I did that is they keep pulling these bids and letting price drop down, but then instantly start reloading it again. And the sellers are starting to back off a little bit. They're getting less aggressive. So I'm feeling pretty confident in this trade. I'm not willing to take this full stop out. If price starts reversing on me and we start, sellers start taking out bids, if they start taking out the 43 and they start trying to take out the 42, I'm probably just going to scratch this trade. If I'm not seeing strength on the bid and I'm not seeing my trade play out the way that I want it to, I'm just going to scratch it. These stops are a fail-safe. These stops are there so that if, price just reverses on me unexpectedly and I don't have time to react, I'm not going to lose too much money. But I'm not trying to let this stop out get hit. If my trade starts falling apart and I'm not seeing what I want in the order flow, I'll scratch this. I'll just click out. So the stop is a failsafe. And I'm just giving it a bit more room. Because at this point, I'm in the trade and I'm seeing relatively what I want to see to be in the trade. Again, not seeing these offers get taken out. So I am a little early on this entry. And some FOMO probably had something to do with that. So you can see right here, sellers are still very aggressive. Okay, they're still reloading. I shouldn't actually be in this trade. I shouldn't be in this trade yet. I'm in too early. So right there, okay? So right there, they started pulling offers. The selling into the bid is getting less aggressive, and the buyers are starting to get more aggressive, reloading their bids at higher prices, and they're starting to now lift the offer and buy into higher prices. Okay, so this is actually the point where I should have entered. This is where I should have entered, and then I could have put my stop right down here and had pretty tight risk with a relatively safe entry, but I didn't. I was impatient and I just jumped in too early without waiting for confirmation. So at this point, I now see confirmation and I scale in. So I add 1 contract. I'm now in for 2. But I'm seeing a lot of two-way trade here. Okay? I'm seeing a lot of two-way trade. We're still reloading the offer. They're still reloading the bid. So I put a limit 4 ticks above price. I'm pretty confident that will get hit. Okay, so that gets hit. And now I'm seeing this trade really start to work. Okay? We've got buyers still reloading the bid, and sellers are now pulling away from the offer, and buyers are still hitting into it and lifting it. Okay? So I scale in again. And then I only look for a few ticks. Okay? So this is why I call this the bump and grind trade or management, whatever you'd want to call it, because essentially what's happening is we've got so much strength from these buyers on the bid that price is going to move up. But we've still got, aggressive sellers. So we can count on some pullbacks and some aggression from the sellers. But I don't think we're going to get big pullbacks right now. So what I'm kind of trying to do is get in on the pullback, take a couple ticks, and let it run. Scale in on the pullback, take a couple ticks, let it run. Basically, I want to always have, a couple contracts in the market, but what I don't want to do is just scale in with like 5 or 7 contracts and just let it run. Because these pullbacks could be, they could be fierce. And I don't really want to take drawdown on 5 contracts. So I'm trying to look for short, consistent moves that I can scale into. And I really like how this plays out because I can scale in and out and maximize profits, but also keep my risk relatively tight. If I'm in 5 contracts and price just reverses on me unexpectedly, I'm not going to be able to click out fast enough, and I'm going to take a huge loss. So this way I can kind of keep scaling in, scaling out, and just moving with the market. So that's kind of the theory or the methodology behind it. So I'm still, at this point, now what I'm seeing is an absorption continuation trade kind of play out. So I'm seeing the absorption just being continued on the bid side. No matter how much these sellers want to hit the bid, it's just all getting absorbed. So I'm going to lean on that, and every time they pull these bids, I'm going to scale in, and then I'm going to just try to take profits on that second contract quickly. And then do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And then, at a certain point throughout this trade, I start getting more confident that this trade is playing out the way that I expect it to. So I start scaling in a little more aggressively. Okay, so wait for the pullback. Scale in. Take it off after a couple ticks. Because at this point, I'm not feeling as confident as I was a minute ago. These bids are looking a little weaker, but they're still reloading them pretty aggressively. Sellers are also reloading the offer, though. So at this point, I should probably have moved my stop up, and I should probably have my stop a little bit tighter. Just because of what I'm seeing right now. It's not showing me a lot of strength in this moment right now. Okay? So, but then we start pulling offers again. They're pulling and reloading these offers. It's kind of they're playing games, okay? Because you can see the absorption happening, and then they're pulling the offer, okay? But we're still seeing this steady absorption on the bid, and that's what's keeping us in the trade. So we get profit on the second contract, and then we're looking for absorption continuation to play out again. So we're waiting for the pullback. I've actually got my mouse over the offer right now because I'm thinking this trade might be over, and I might just try to get out right now. But then buyers stepped in really aggressively, and they pulled all the offers away. So it's looking like price wants to move higher, and at this point, I'm going to probably think about scaling it again. So I'm seeing heavy absorption on the bid side. I'm waiting for the pullback, and I'm scaling it. And then I'm trying to just take a couple more ticks, but always letting that initial position ride. And just steadily trailing my stop up. So I'm currently in the market for 3 contracts, and I start scaling in a little bit more aggressively here. Okay, so right here, I'm seeing an opportunity because what I've been seeing is playing out. We've just made it over VWAP, and I think we're going to make it up to this thicker liquidity. You know, I think we're going to make it up here. I'm feeling pretty confident at this point that this area of thin liquidity is going to be a pretty easy area to run through. So at this point, I scale in pretty aggressively. I think I just fired like 3 contracts into the market and then took 4 of them off. Okay. So I've still got 1 in. And then I scale in another 3. At this point, the trade is starting to fall apart. We've got the bids are not getting reloaded as aggressively. Sellers have steadily been reloading offers, and hammering into the bid. So once this bid falls apart, you know, we want to get out. But they keep reloading it and they pull the offer. But at this point, this is showing me signs of weakness on the bid. And the way it just fell away like that, how it just kind of, it grinded up and then dropped, that's not a good sign. That's showing weakness on the bid. So at this point, I move my stop up. And I just want to get out. At this point, I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm seeing 214 just get reloaded on the offer. Seeing this bid start to get pulled away. And I'm thinking this trade's done. So I don't want to get caught in the sell-off. So I keep my stop relatively tight right below this thicker liquidity on the bid. And then I just put my stop at two ticks into profit, hoping that it gets hit. So at this point, I just seen this this price right here, the 456, get reloaded very aggressively, and price kind of reversed off of it. So I'm like, yeah, I just want to get out for a break even or 1 tick or anything. I just want to get out. So at this point, I'm sandwiching price in between these 2 stops, and I just don't want to lose too much on this point. I'm pretty sure the trade's dead. So yeah, we got the fill on the 1 tick. And yeah, that's an absorption reversal into a bump and grind setup. I'm personally going to review this video like quite a few times because there was definitely a lot of areas where I could have managed this better, and some rules that I can put in place for next time this trade setup presents itself. But yeah, overall, pretty nice trade setup. I really like this setup when it comes around because it just gives me a lot of confidence, because it's kind of a rinse and repeat where you see a little pattern and the pattern keeps repeating and repeating and repeating until it's gone, and then you scratch the trade. But you can usually pull pretty decent profits out of the market when this sets up. But yeah, that's the absorption reversal into a bump and grind setup.